Top 5 True Crime Stories That Sound Like Horror Movies. What if I told you some of the most terrifying true crime stories are scarier than any horror movie? From real-life murders that inspired chilling films to bizarre and twisted crimes that sound like they belong in a fictional thriller, these stories will leave you questioning reality. Today, we're diving into the top 5 true crime stories that are so gruesome and unbelievable, they could easily be mistaken for the plot of a horror movie. These cases are filled with dark secrets, shocking details, and terrifying twists that will haunt you long after the video ends. So, buckle up, because what you're about to hear is more chilling than any ghost story or slasher film. Let's get started. 1. John Wayne Gacy, the Killer Clown. At number 1, we have John Wayne Gacy, the infamous Killer Clown, whose horrific crimes shocked the nation. Gacy's life was the inspiration behind numerous horror films, including House of a Thousand Corpses, which drew from his twisted persona. Gacy performed as Pogo the Clown, an innocent character who entertained children at parties, all while hiding his dark, murderous side. But the true horror behind Gacy's actions far exceeded anything Hollywood could dream up. In the 1970s, Gacy lured young men and boys to his home, tricking them into handcuffs before torturing, raping, and ultimately killing them. His creepy clown persona was a stark contrast to the brutality of his crimes, which included at least 33 murders. The victims were buried under his house, and some were discarded in nearby rivers. Gacy's killings were cold, calculated, and utterly terrifying. The chilling nature of Gacy's crimes led to his portrayal in films and documentaries, but nothing can fully capture the monstrous reality of his actions. His clown persona made him seem approachable, and he used that to his advantage, gaining the trust of his victims. The fact that someone who performed at children's parties could harbor such evil is a dark, disturbing reality that no fiction could match. Gacy was finally arrested in 1978, and his trial captivated the nation. He was convicted and sentenced to death, where he was executed in 1994. His legacy lives on in horror films, but the true story behind Pogo the Clown remains one of the most horrific and disturbing real-life true crime stories. 2. Shantae Jawan Malad, the car accident turned murder. At number 2, we have the story of Shantae Malad, a case that shocked the nation and played out like a real-life horror thriller. In 2001, Malad, a nursing assistant, hit a homeless man named Gregory Biggs with her car. The impact lodged him halfway through the windshield, just like something out of a gory horror movie. Instead of seeking help for the man trapped in her car, Malad drove home, with Biggs still lodged in the windshield. For 2 to 3 days, she kept him there, refusing to call 911 or seek help, and parked the car in her garage with him still alive. Eventually, Biggs died in her garage, a victim not only of the accident but of Malad's complete disregard for his life. What makes this case even more shocking is that Malad was a nursing assistant, someone who had the skills to save him, but chose not to. Malad's psychotic behavior didn't stop there. She enlisted the help of acquaintances to cover up the crime, trying to erase the evidence of what had happened. Her attempt to hide the murder ultimately failed, and she was sentenced to 50 years in prison. The true horror of this story isn't just the tragic death of Gregory Biggs, but the chilling fact that Malad could have saved him, yet chose to let him die, in what can only be described as a cold, calculated act of murder. 3. John Christie, the soft-spoken serial killer. At number 3, we have the terrifying case of John Christie, a man who seemed unassuming at first, but his true nature was pure evil. Christie was the subject of numerous crime films, but no movie can truly replicate the sheer horror of his real-life crimes. A seemingly mild-mannered man, he was able to murder at least 8 people in his home, hiding their bodies in the walls and garden of 10 Rillington Place, his flat in London. Christie's killings were cold-blooded and methodical. He lured women into his home, strangled them, and then hid their bodies in his apartment. What makes this case particularly disturbing is how long Christie managed to continue his killings undetected, all while blending in as a normal neighbor. His ability to hide in plain sight is what makes this true crime story so horrifying. In one of the most chilling aspects of the case, an innocent man, Derek Bentley, was hanged for a crime he didn't commit. Christie's murders went unnoticed for years, and Bentley's execution was a tragic mistake, all because of Christie's manipulative nature. It wasn't until years later that the truth came out, and Christie's dark secret was finally exposed. The story of 10 Rillington Place remains one of the most disturbing true crime tales, reminding us that true horror is often more horrifying than anything imagined on screen. Christie's manipulation of his wife and the way he hid his crimes in such a methodical manner make his story even more terrifying. His seemingly calm demeanor, which allowed him to carry on his horrific activities for so long, is what really makes this one of the most chilling true crime stories in history. Can you imagine how many more victims Christie could have had if he hadn't been caught? 4. Adolfo Constanzo, the narco-Satanist. At number 4, we delve into the blood-curdling story of Adolfo Constanzo, a notorious cult leader whose brutal crimes stunned the world. In the 1980s, Constanzo led a group of narco-Satanists in Mexico, blending drug trafficking with human sacrifice. This disturbing cult kidnapped, tortured, and killed men, women, and even tourists, all in the name of their twisted religious beliefs. What makes this true crime case so chilling is that it wasn't just about murder, it was about ritualistic killings meant to appease dark forces. Constanzo's reign of terror lasted for years, with his group committing gruesome murders and sacrifices as part of their belief system. His victims were subjected to brutal torture, and their bodies were often disposed of in horrific ways, sometimes even burned in ritualistic ceremonies. In a plot that reads like something out of a horror film, Constanzo's cult activities unraveled after the murder of Mark Kilroy, a college student who was kidnapped and sacrificed by the cult. Kilroy's body was discovered on Constanzo's ranch, revealing the true extent of the bloodshed and horror that had been taking place. Constanzo was eventually captured and executed, but the memory of his gruesome actions lives on in the chilling reality that real-life monsters like him exist. What's even scarier is that Constanzo and his followers truly believed in their dark rituals and human sacrifices. The extent to which they blended the occult with drug trade made them an even greater danger to society. Could this be the most horrific crime fueled by religion and delusion? 5. Ivan Milat and Bradley Murdoch, the Backpacker Killers. Finally, at number 5, we have the terrifying story of the Backpacker Killers, Ivan Milat and Bradley John Murdoch, whose brutal murders shocked the world. Their story was the inspiration for the film Wolf Creek, which depicts a sadistic predator who hunts and kills unsuspecting travelers in the Australian outback. What's even scarier is that Milat and Murdoch's crimes were based on real-life events, with both men being responsible for the deaths of several backpackers. In the 1990s, Ivan Milat lured backpackers into his vehicle under the pretense of offering a ride, only to kidnap, torture, and murder them. He disposed of their bodies in the Belanglo State Forest, a remote location in New South Wales. Milat's grisly crime spree went unnoticed for years, and he continued his killing rampage, believing he could get away with it. Similarly, Bradley John Murdoch abducted and murdered an English tourist named Peter Falconio in 2001, leaving his companion barely escaping with her life. Murdoch's crime mirrored Milat's in many ways, with isolated locations and gruesome methods. These real-life killers not only committed murder but did so with a sadistic enjoyment, turning their dark fantasies into a nightmarish reality that could rival any horror film. So, there you have it, the top 5 true crime stories that sound like something straight out of a horror movie. Which of these real-life crimes sent the biggest chills down your spine? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-tingling true crime content. Stay safe, and remember, sometimes, the real world is scarier than anything we can imagine.